This podcast is protected under the laws of the United States and other countries. Unauthorized duplication, distribution, or exhibition may result in civil liability, criminal prosecution, and the wrath of the tall man.
Boy! Hey, let's talk about you, the ID10T community events at ID10T.com, like Russ Stevens, a.k.a. Cool Movies Darth, who has started a podcast called 90 for Chill, which Russ says is dedicated to movies with a runtime between 74 and 99 minutes, the time frame that I feel is ideal. Russ, I could not agree with you more. That is a fantastic idea. Russ goes on to say there are times you need a cinematic fix but don't have time for the latest Scorsese masterpiece or offering from a comic book universe. There's also times when you need a conclusion to prevent a binge costing you a whole night. My guests and I try to follow these guidelines as we chat up features that are definitely worth your time and are beyond easy to make time for. 90 for Chill, the podcast, can be found on all major podcast platforms at 90forchill.com, and that's spelling out 90, Ninety, 4 FOR, chill. So there you go. Thank you so much for sharing, Russ. Really great idea for a podcast. Events at ID10T.com for everyone else.
Thank you for checking out 90 for Chill, the podcast with Catbus Russ. This is your host, Catbus Russ, and on this week's episode, we are going to discuss a feature suggested by Austin from Take Me to the Movies, austin.substack.com. The feature is called We're All Going to the World's Fair, and this is going to probably be a little more argumentative than a celebration of the feature. It's a creepypasta movie from 2023. I think I know where he's coming from. I just don't see it working. We're going to see if he can convince you to watch that. But just to be certain that we have something that might be fun, I took the time to watch a Shudder exclusive to fill in the letter Q for the Allie's Accessory Shop on Etsy's Trash Feature reviews. So I'm going to cut to that, and then we'll get to our main event. Austin and I discuss We're All Going to the World's Fair.
Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll.
Bring the noise.
90 for Chill, the podcast, proudly presents to you Allie's Accessories Shop on Etsy's Trash Feature Review.
How's it feel to be home?
Feels weird to be in Colombia.
These rainforests look amazing.
You're dreaming if you think you have time to hike.
It's good to see you, buddy. Good to see you, man.
Hola.
Yeah. That's a pretty great room.
I just don't want to sleep in the same room as you. You should tell me before dinner.
Sophie and I have decided that we're gonna split up. You guys are the perfect couple.
I think I'm gonna go.
To...
Chachi.
It's not safe to go hiking around here by yourself.
Is this the only road?
Like if we drove through this area, we'd get there faster?
Las Arenas is not a place you won't find yourself. Even locals won't go there.
Maybe we gotta turn back.
We're not going back.
I definitely don't want to get caught in that.
He's breaking into the car.
Hey, can I help you? Money. Run!
You had to be the hero.
How was I supposed to know that he had
If
a
you
gun?
had steel food, we should go that way, where no one goes, Las Arenas.
Wait. Run, son! Run! Sophia!
Someone's gonna find us.
They don't have a clue where we are.
We both need to be perfectly still, okay?
There's something down here. What was he out here hunting?
I don't think we want to know.
¡Llamen a la policía!
Josh! It's right there. You have to trust me. We're gonna get out of this.
No one's coming for us.
You don't get to decide.
And I've just concluded watching the Shudder original feature from 2023, Quicksand. It's a film that takes place in Colombian rainforests, which don't exactly look like what you'd think. I might have to rewatch Collateral Damage to see if Schwarzenegger set the standard or not. But I digress. It's pretty authentic, and I guess I should just leave it at that. So, We have a married couple. Well, they're about to go and be on the outs, but they've got one little medical convention they got to attend in Bogota, and to kill some time, they decide to go hiking, and little do they know that they're being set up by the hotel manager and an associate to pretty much just rob them. And after confronting the assailant, I guess would be the right term, they flee into a off-limits area called La Arenas because of quicksand. And of course they get caught, and then it's about an hour of them dealing with, well, an hour for us, nearly probably half a day for them dealing with snakes, ants, and their collective past, and trying to come to terms with each other and their genuine feelings towards each other. You know, stuff that being on the edge of being at the foyer of death's door will do to you. So it's pretty routine, honestly. This is kind of, I guess you'd say, open water, a film I haven't seen. Shame on me. Except with muddy water. And there are some tense moments in it, especially once you bring the snake into it. But it's either, you know, once you get past the exposition, so that just kind of feels like, you know, I read the description of the feature. I don't really need 20 minutes of their drama, but especially when there's not much drama. And I guess that is the flaw of the feature. There's just not a lot of drama. Okay, these two people are at wit's end with each other, and now they have to try getting their stuff together. Cool. I just, you know, we could have gone right to the hike, I suppose. And I guess there's some narrative devices of trying to keep the woman in the relationship focused on saving the day. That, a little cliche, but you're there with them, I think, is the important thing. You just want some excitement, though, and aside from battling a venomous snake, and really, I guess the snakes are really the only thing now that I'm really stopping and think back on the film. What you want, though, for excitement, though, is either some greater drama between the two that they're discussing, or, you know, something really makes them unique, not just we've grown apart. If you don't have that in your script, well, maybe you could just do that with some outlandish acting. This movie's a Shudder original anyhow, so it's kind of excusable. So they missed the mark basically with the script, I guess. As for the direction, I said there's some cliche choices near the end, but you know, you have two people stuck in an approximately 12-foot ring of death, dare I say, a pool of quicksand. You don't really have to work too hard to make that look good. So it's simple enough. I mean, it's a fun way, I think, or, well, let's see. How would I say this? It's a movie that you can have on in the background. It's not offensive, I guess, is the most important thing about it. So as I say, if it's on the Shudder feed, the live feed, and, you know, that's probably better than just going down a YouTube binge. As for YouTube binges, just stay away from anything after 2001, my opinion. It just gets a little too muddled, I suppose. So yeah, it's just a feature where if you're claustrophobic, I guess that'll scare you. I mean, it at least finally gives us a chance to be afraid of quicksand, which is something, we always feared as children, as at least as Gen X children, I suppose, as spoken on, I can't remember which podcast it was, from the Rewatchables. Let's see, what did they do recently? They Live was a good episode from them. Toy Soldiers, quicksand and bad guys. That's what we were worried about as kids. At least we finally get half of that, and we've already had a lot of the others. So, as I say, it's an inoffensive film, a little more coherent than the feature that will be discussed on the podcast this week. And we just heard Boomer Siri, as I say. Disappointed that we're using this for personal gain instead of just straight up capitalism. This is 90 for Chill, the podcast with Cat Bus Russ. This is your host, Cat Bus Russ. And as I was chatting with my guest tonight, being and making sure I get names all correct, Austin Noto-Moniz. We are going to
more or less.
Thank you. Well, you can correct that once I stop
Sure.
chatting. So we're going to discuss a movie from 2021, 2022. All depends on who you want to source. Called "We're All Going to the World's Fair," which is definitely an interesting picture to say the least, and we'll see where we land on that. So I will just Austin, let us know a little about yourself and we'll get everything going.
Sure. So yeah, I'm Austin. I live in the Northeast of the US. I came in movie nerd somewhat recently, like in the past 5 years, started like diving into super deep to stuff and got super into that and writing stuff on Letterboxd. Earlier this year started a movie review blog called Take 'Em to the Movies Austin over on Substack. That's been a lot of fun where I cover just new releases and such. And occasionally, or not occasionally, a lot of times I'll watch movies that I hear people talking about from a few years ago, including this one, which I just watched earlier this year for the first time and have watched again since. And it is one of my favorite movies I've seen recently. It's a polarizing one, as Russ alluded to, but it's I have a whole lot of things to say about this movie.
Well, as you said, the movie could be considered polarizing. I'd say polarizing. It was poorly made, which it's not. There's definitely things I would have done different if I was the director, but I'm not a director, so who's to say if I really have a clue on that? Aspiring screenwriter, Main Event of the Dead, my professional wrestling zombie comedy. I've been working on trying to figure a way to get to a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe standpoint for the last 12 years, but I digress. I thought all my buddies in the wrestling business would think, all right, he's finally got an idea. Let's go with that.
I mean, it's a fun premise, so
yes.
That's
a
shame nothing's come of it as of yet.
Yeah, but well, it's Central Illinois for you, so
yeah, fair.
Yeah. So basically, you have the voter influence is north of I-80, east of I-39, and then it's a bunch of I believe it was Gene Wilder, as the Waco kid said, you have to realize you're dealing with the common folk, the salt of the earth, the common clay, morons from Blazing Saddles. So yep, so that's where I come from. And as you said, you're from the Northeast. I don't know how far northeast. I have family up in Buffalo myself. And
I'm over in New Hampshire,
okay.
in the Hampshire
all
area.
right.
And I grew up, lived in near Boston. Only moved up here a few years ago. So
okay,
I've been in this area for a while.
All right, yeah, I just say that because I know this movie is definitely got a lot of New York tax credit associated with it.
Yes, yeah.
That's why. Well,
they never quite nailed down where it is, but they're within distance of New York
City. Right.
That's about all you get. Yeah. So it's somewhere outside there.
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, I've talked to enough people from the boroughs in Long Island, and they basically that's New York. Everything else is basically Canada to them. So, Yeah, so the movie we're going to chat about is We're All Going to the World's Fair from 2021 officially. I think it probably didn't get a release till 2022. Directed and written by Jane Schoenbrunn. Very limited cast, which is, I would say, a plus to it in all honesty. It's a story which I don't think any of the plot synopses I've come across really do it justice. Alone in her this is IMDb, alone in her attic bedroom, teenager Casey becomes immersed in an online role-playing horror game, which that's not how MMORPGs work. Wherein
No.
wherein she begins to document the changes that may or may not be happening to her. Regardless of what I think about multi MMOR. Well, I mean, it's explained. It's explained in the movie. The exact role playing game, multi
MMORPG,
right.
massive multiplayer online. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm
game.
missing an M.
But
That's all.
It's also I would also quibble that that's not what this movie is about, which is part of where that description falls apart. It's more of an argument. It's an MMORPG,
right?
Which is yeah.
So,
I think the fact that one of the characters says that is actually an important character detail, but that's a whole. We'll get into that.
Right. So yeah, Casey. So the movie starts with Casey shooting a video saying she's taking the "We're All Going to the World's Fair" challenge, which is basically she pricks herself, puts some blood on the PC, and things are supposed to change henceforth. There's a narrative here. I think that there's a lot of potential to this. I just think the direction is just a little too mixed up to really make it work. But I'm not faulting the actress. As for our primary actor, Theo Anthony is JLB.
No, it's Michael J. Rogers.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I see stars.
Yeah. Theo Anthony plays a random. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's honestly really screwy with how they did the credits. Yeah, Michael J. Rogers and yeah, Man on Treadmill doesn't really deserve a credit in my opinion, or Plastic Girl portrayed by Ollie Ann Frank, which I think I saw what they were going with, but okay. So yeah, I mean, it's basically this is where it kind of falls off the rails. It's just basically like, okay, is it a documentary? Like, if you would have kept the features to solely camera stuff, which I'm not saying is a great method of doing it. I know there's a lot of, I haven't seen
like Stream Life,
right? I haven't seen a lot of movies like that. I hear good things about certain ones. Unfriended, I hear bad things about the sequel to Unfriended. It's like, if you would have kept it towards the screens, I think you have something solid. But then it's like, our director wanting to say I can direct and cuts out, and it's like, no, that takes us out of, like, I know basic direction rules is like you have to have that invisible line.
Sure. I think though that what they're going for in a lot of it, and this gets into kind of. So one of the things I love about the movie is that there's so many different reads on it, and one of the ones that I take away is that it's kind of the experience of the what it's like to be on the internet and watching, parasocial relationships, getting involved in like obsessing over, or not even intentionally obsessing, but getting really invested in these certain people and kind of losing where that line between fiction and reality is. And so I think one of the things that's really telling is for 2/3 of the movie, we are, from after the first third of the movie, we're never in Casey's perspective again. From the point she gets on that call with JLB, we're just with him. And so I think with the cutting away like such, it's kind of, trying to hit this disorienting bit of he's not sure how to handle this. He's getting too involved in like watching this person, and although he knows it's a game, he doesn't know if she knows it's a game, and this whole this whole breakdown. And so I think a lot of that ends up the breaking various rules is trying to throw you off and trying to make you feel that something's wrong here, something's off. Something's up going on with him as well.
Well, I mean, yeah, you could definitely say that. Like somebody my age, I'm 43, taking interest in a teenager, probably not a wise, seems a little off to me.
Sure. And that I think though, I think one of the other things I really like that Schoenbrunn does here is there's like an additional layer that I didn't pick up until this most recent watch, where I think too, like trying to understand and explain what's going on with JLB, and that he's, there's a bunch of stuff that tells me he had a kid who he lost, and quite possibly, in fact, he's obsessed with this. Like the implication I get is that he lost a kid to suicide, is concerned that he's missing the signs, and he's trying really hard to make it, to understand this online world, to try to like show that he actually gets it, and so he can try to connect with this other person before they're too far gone. And he's not hip enough, which is, I think, that, at the end when he refers to it as an MMORPG, I think is him trying to dial into what this is when he's not really sure. He just knows that he sees someone that he thinks might be in trouble, but he's not sure. And so he ends up coming across as this creep, in part because he doesn't know what to do. He just feels the need to do something. And so I think he ends up being like a lot of people who've ever come across, be it an actual ARG, be it across just, people who are memeing something to death, anything like that, when they are, they're seeing a slice of what's going on. They're seeing people engaging in this kind of interaction. They don't know exactly what's going on, but they have seen enough to pull stuff together. But then, and they see some stuff that reflects what seems to be reality and what seems to be earnestness poking through. But they're not quite able to do that separation. And they're like, oh, and they feel the concern of stepping in. And I feel enough concern, they feel they should step in and do so very clumsily and almost make things worse in doing so. And so I think he's kind of, JLB almost ends up being the audience perspective character, where because we don't know either. We know Casey knows it's a game, but we don't really know where she is mentally. We know that she's a loner. We know that she has some issues with her dad. The one interaction we hear is not what you would expect from a happy home. And it's something too where, she's getting so embroiled in this thing. How much of that is her escaping a less than ideal real life? And with that escape, how much of it is, truly self-destructive, and how much of it is coping, and that coping is being a healthy way.
All right. No, that's all fair on that. I don't know. It's just more for me, as somebody who, I work at an electronics store, and I get pretty fed up with people like, oh yeah, no, my kids wore this tablet out type stuff. It's like, yeah, no, I didn't have a Game Boy till I was 10. So why, yeah. Why are we really getting them this attention element? And dare I say, the video game world in general, there goes your MMORPG, is like, oh no, you always have to be in contact with people and what have you, and your online profile is part of you. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, growing up, and it's like the most MMORPG I played was EverQuest or Star Wars Galaxy, which is again EverQuest essentially. Yeah, it's kind of like a, there's still in, granted, that's 20 years ago now. I'm old. So that kind of puts me in, like, there was still a great degree of anonymity. And now you have a society where, like, oh, we have to show our influence right away, say, be it YouTube or Twitch. It's like, I mean, right off the bat, and I know, this isn't necessarily wrong or weird. Well, necessarily weird. I shouldn't say wrong. She's like, I've got my own channel. It's like, should you? Like, okay, granted, I'm doing a podcast. I'm trying to be have a degree of self-importance myself. But before I started the podcast, I was a professional wrestler. Well, I'm an underemployed professional wrestler, very much but my active days were, 11 years ago, 12 years ago. I don't know, whatever. But again, performer element to that. I'm a writer, screenplay, as I described, prolific blogger in the late noughties, at least considered by most strippers as the most intellectual guy in the club. That's so I mean, I'm just saying I've got a good 20 years of experience of being somebody trying to put themselves out there instead of somebody as a kid, a teenager. So the movie itself is just disturbing, I think, to get, from the get-go. Like, why would you could say, well, there's not a great relationship between her and her father. And it's like, okay, like you say, oh, the one time we hear the father, it's like, no, I can understand my parents being upset that I'm watching videos at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Sure, I think the fact that the one interaction that we get from the
it's
movie
not
is but yeah,
right. It's definitely not fair, and
it's not that he's unreasonably upset, but more the way that the fact that the movie is like, no, this is the one thing in one window into that relationship you get.
Right. No, otherwise it's the introduction to the gun element, which is like,
Yep.
oh, hey, welcome. Again, I'm in the Midwest. That's pretty much. Gosh, how many times I've seen gun collections that I've never asked for back in growing up. But
I mean,
again, it's just the sheer fact that somebody who's definitely not at an age to be prepared to, who has a solid grip on understanding why you're putting yourself out there, or I mean I understand why you're looking to try to connect to. Well, I don't know if she's even trying to, like, it's the influencer lifestyle. I would think Logan Paul could care less about anybody who follows him, or a Kardashian.
I think the fact that she kind of seems to start to lose herself a little bit in it, which you kind of get with how strongly she starts reacting to JLB near the end, where he's trying to, be like, hey, listen, I'm worried. This seems like there's something actually going on here. Like, let's step out of the game for a second. Are you okay? And the strong pushback. And I think it's a part, it's that element of teenage fumbling around and trying stuff you've seen other people do. Because of course, especially growing up now, heck, even when I was growing up, and I'm a little bit younger than you, not too much younger than you, but like seeing popular personalities on YouTube, or back then like Facebook, MySpace, whatever, I think, trying to emulate that, going, oh, cool, I can do this. We see she's watching a bunch of videos of other people in the World's Fair game. And she's like, oh, thinks that she can do it. And we see, she gets very little traction. Her, the couple times we see view counts, she's not really getting anywhere there. But she's just kind of trying to figure out what she's doing. And the answer is, it's a teenager. We've all been there. We don't know what we're doing when you're a teenager. You just try things, see what happens. And it doesn't always go the way that you expect. You stare death in the face with these Bloody Mary inspired games, and scare yourself half to death, and it's great.
Oh, well, I guess it might just be a disconnect, because I think, okay, obviously up front, I grew up in a pretty stable household. My parents are still married. They're going on, a couple years from 50. Damn.
Congrats to them. That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, right. No. But it's very much like, I mean, I can say my mom was overbearing at points, but she was always there to pull us away from stupidity. And I can't say that her own mother was there. I mean, that's an entirely different story, but I'm just saying it's kind of like I was very close to her mother, my grandma, and probably related to her best of all the kids. Um, Knowing that her situation was parenting. Oh gosh, what the hell? What the hell did I get myself into? Planning all that. And my mom came from a dysfunctional home, so she probably overcompensated. Lots of that. My dad is very much like, no, everything's going to work out, and really great on that element. I was just saying, we're not like, my little brother would have probably possibly gotten into this YouTube stuff, but I didn't leave the house for a while, so I could have probably kept an eye on him, I suppose. So it's just, but again, she's a single. As far as we know, she's a single child with a single father.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think the thing is, even apart from whether she's looking, like, I think even whether it's YouTube or whether it's musicians or whether it's telling stupid stories on the playground that get a lot of play. I certainly remember that. I was never the one dispensing, but certainly hearing kids tell very clearly tall tales, trying to get people interested. Like, there's an element of human nature to trying to be, stand out and be popular, or not popular, but stand out and be noticed. Even if you're a loner and don't care what others think, you care what other people, to a certain degree, care what other people who have a similar mind to you think. And if it's other people who like this weird, messed up horror game about changing, with various like tall tales, this whole storytelling element to it, is, I think, what ends up being the appeal. Or even just really stepping into this alternate reality game type thing and going, okay, let's play this massive game of make believe and see where it takes us. It's it's kind of riffing on the whole, like, say, Slenderman or generally creepypasta type thing,
Right.
saying, hey, let's take these campfire stories that we've either told or heard about being told growing up, and now let's spin that off into this long running thing. And then that's what this character ends up getting really involved in. I don't know how much she cares about being popular. Again, her videos don't really make much of a splash, and she doesn't ever show any indication of caring. The closest is just we see when she kind of takes various elements of the mythology from other videos and uses them in her own, like the not feeling cold thing, which we see very clearly is false. But like, in trying to mess with that, I think she's just kind of trying to tell a story to figure out her own voice there.
Well,
figure out what she has to say, if she has anything to say.
Well, okay, teenagers don't in general. My opinion on I was one.
Okay.
All right. Like I don't know. For me, growing,
sure. I mean, even if they're not making it for the broader,
it's a generational thing. I'm at tail end Gen X, which, living in Central Illinois, probably makes me more millennial than that. But no, I digress. And frankly, I grew up in a time where the internet was not a thing. Like, I was ahead of the curve. It's like, well, Russ knows something about web design. Go to him. And it's like, okay, yeah, and let's talk dollars. And so we're not talking. Okay. So yeah, I guess that might be the disconnect, in a sense that it's a totally okay. I guess this kind of turns it around to JLB. Like, all right, JLB is definitely closer to my age. I can imagine still being a little younger. I thanks to my hereditary nature. My hair's still here. But I don't know. I guess, all right, from a filmmaking standpoint, is where I get hung up the most. And again, it's like, okay, let's follow her. It's like, yeah, no, you can't again, it's that that 180 degrees element. Like you have a line where you're watching it from, and now you can't really cross that. And they're very nonchalant about that. Like, oh, somebody's following her with the camera. And it's like, no, you have to set like from an artistic standpoint, you have to establish that you're either in the world or you're not. You can't just go and say, and we're going to follow her from her failed video, which we don't see from the video side of I'm going to record myself sleeping, into her journey.
Interesting. So that's where you're drawing the line is. So you're saying to you where the break is that sometimes in the first third especially we sometimes see her from some omniscient third party, and sometimes we see her as a viewer.
Right. No, you get one or the other. You can't just, or there's a way to do it, but it's definitely ignored here. And then like which makes the entire establishment of the gun element screwy, because nobody was recording her with that. And again,
I think
from a directorial standpoint, if going back to Shadow the Vampire, with I can't remember the director, which is sad because I know Nicolas Cage money behind it.
Shadow of the Vampire, it's Elias Marriage.
Right.
I don't know if that's his last name, but yeah.
Right.
The guy who did Begotten.
Okay. Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
As Count Orloff, and John Malkovich is the director, and then you have this violent scene, and Malkovich gets himself out of the situation by saying, if it doesn't happen on screen, it doesn't happen. And so that element, I think, goes into the storytelling flaws. Like, you could either you have to be focused on one party or the other, being JLB, who, again, that's just a very difficult thing to sell, especially when you've just pretty much established that, well, the second half of the movie is him watching her. And it's like, I could see maybe as an experience standpoint, like, maybe it actually works from the establishment of, if you say Act 1 ends when JLB gets involved. And then you could see the movie being totally from JLB's perspective, and that could work. It's just you take too many chances otherwise, I think, early on, and you're trying to figure out. It really becomes more of like, I could see the casual viewer like getting into this, but then but as it's as a, I wouldn't call myself an I've got a screenplay, but I don't want to direct it necessarily. I don't want that responsibility. Geesh. From a filmmaking standpoint, it does. You can't commit halfway and then go the other way, I guess is what I'm going. It's either Casey's story or it's JLB's story. We can't have it both ways.
So I think that for me, part of where that doesn't bother me is that I think stuff like those kind of rules tend to be, as long as, if you're going to break, it's something, the rules can't be broken, but you must be deliberate when doing so. And I think that it's bold for this is technically her second feature, but it's her first narrative film, because she had a documentary about Slender Man before this.
Okay, well,
it was really
well documentarian. Get it? All right, I see where she's coming from, and then
it's a very experimental
the concept, like creepypasta.
Oh yeah,
it's got me entertaining. The concept's got me laid once, but I'm not going that.
Oh no! I mean, so the documentary is called "A Self-Induced Hallucination." They uploaded it to archive themselves. It's really interesting. I think it's good. It's nothing amazing, but it's a really looking at, and it kind of like plays into this too. That it's less concerned with the actual creepypasta itself than it is the phenomenon of creepypasta, which makes perfect sense playing into a movie like this that is using kind of a creepypasta inspired arg to play with. But in any case, I think the thing that's interesting is, the thing that for me, why I don't end up minding, and I think it's very deliberate, sometimes you're in screen, sometimes not, and not setting that one perspective, is this, that the whole movie is concerned or is interested in that breakdown of the walls, of the fact that it's not clear. And yeah, you're definitely right that there's no motivation. There's no motivation for why are we all of a sudden outside of the video camera from the world, but from the filmmaking perspective of, okay, we're now setting up that there's these two different pieces. There's Casey on screen, there's Casey off screen. And then we start to blend those. And then all of a sudden we cut out, not all of a sudden, but we cut out one of those parts when we, enter JLB's perspective and drop it and completely drop, getting any inside knowledge of where Casey is. Because even like early on, we see a point she gets discouraged. That first sleep video, she's like starts, storms off claiming it's stupid. We kind of get a sense that she really wants to make herself participate, but she's not really feeling it. And we're kind of so we have this kind of blurring where she's keeping it going, trying to do the story, not really figuring it out. And then we're like, okay, cool. Now we don't get to see what she's actually feeling. So that we really feel that we feel like we are in JLB's shoes of what is going on with her. And so really emphasizing the themes that they had previously, that they established in that first act.
So I guess it's more or less, it's just, okay, you can watch the videos fine, and I'm not saying there's anything from at the end of Act 1 involving Casey to the end. Well, I mean, I can get into the third act, which is quite brief. Okay, but Act 2, it's like when we get into JLB's standpoint, and as you said, there's a lot of things that could be unraveled, but it's not obvious. Like, so perchance this is a multi-viewing movie, and it's like, the problem with being a multi-viewing movie is you got to nail it right in the first view to encourage that. And I can't really say they do that in this. JLB, like, coming from a middle-aged person, it's like, no, I definitely, like, perhaps you have the parent standpoint, and geez, that's a scary thing as I'm checking IDs at a liquor store and I see, oh, right, you're younger than me, and yeah, those kids are definitely going off to school, to college. So, okay, maybe I should be, but it's kind of like, I just can't. It's one of those, like, it's, dare I say, rules and such. Now it's like, okay, well, this is definitely high school, and you can have the parental element behind it. And I guess, like, really more plays towards, like, okay, this is being classified as a horror movie, and it's like, what horrific's going on besides a kid pulling tickets out of his arms to get a Stitch toy? And where's the C&D from Disney about how dare you use Stitch? Suggest Stitch. It's just like, okay, so we got a horror, kind of like, it's classified as horror in a sense, and it's like, really? Like, we don't have hard candy here.
You didn't find any of the any of the stuff with the video, even any stuff with the videos at least freaky. Maybe didn't scare you, but at least give you an unsettling vibe. None of that.
That's probably just my cynicism with age. Okay. It's like, okay, this is old. Like, you didn't do anything.
That's fair enough.
They didn't do anything new or interesting, be it the pulling tickets out of your arm or the video. There's nothing with, but I would say there's nothing with the Casey element And that's just it.
Interesting.
Like maybe if you would have like, oh, you're butchering a doll. Well, you know what? I saw that on South Park when Cartman eventually acknowledged he had to get rid of
Sure.
his old toys. To
Oh no,
actually, yeah,
the things, it's like stuff like the pulling the tickets out of the arm, or like where she's playing at some sort of like she's not in control of her actions, ripping apart the doll, whatever. Those were like, oh, you were, interesting elements, but they weren't anything scary. The two bits that freaked me the hell out, even this second watching, and I still love, is kind of some stuff where, well, one of them is where they're playing with this fact that it's almost like a slow cinema horror, being the second sleep video, the one JLB actually pulls up and says, watch this, where she
yeah.
does like the slow arm pull and then the like freaky ass look on her face. At least I found it freaky. But
Well,
like
I mean,
that,
if it would have worked, like, I'm just gonna have to say, and it's limitations to the format. I'm watching on a 4K TV, and I can't really tell too much creepiness out of there. All right, arm moved. Maybe there's an expression. But like, maybe it also comes from somebody who's a notoriously violent sleeper. Like,
yeah, I don't know. But that
yeah,
bit,
it's like, yeah, no, it doesn't, like, I get it. He's looking for something, but then it's still like, it's just a fine line to walk, because again, you could say, well, if you think about JLB having a history, losing a child, maybe even up until teenage, especially in this generation, it's like, okay, cool. Well, not cool. I mean, because it isn't. I mean, it's just I'm just saying that as an affirmative statement. All right. Yeah, okay, so yeah, I get that, and he wants to protect this person. It's just that it makes JLB, sorry, professional wrestler JBL is an infamous bully, so it's like, oh, something evil, obviously I'm going to go that guy. JLB is he's crossing into an area he's not supposed to be in, and so when we finally have that, like, finally stated after their conflict, like, look, I really care about what's going on with you, and thought about calling the police and stuff, like, dude, like, you've totally, I guess it's a thought that of active watchers or just, spectators, what have you, it's like, it's, at least when I see something, and granted, I can be even guilty of this, like, I would go and maybe in a depressed mood post a lyric from the Dwarves, F the world, I will deny you. I try to keep it PG-13. I got to go through and edit my last podcast recording, and I'm the guy who dropped the F-bomb, so I'm very disappointed in myself. But it's like, just quoting a line from the Dwarves, F the world, I will deny you, and it'd be the last bridge before the final chorus is, nobody loves me, nobody cares, and nobody, when I die, nobody will be there. And I'm just doing that, like, that's kind of my mood. I don't mean anything by it. And then dealing with, family, like, with, like, one sibling, like, what are you talking about? Like,
right, dealing with the people who don't
because
get
it's
the internet, don't know the context around that,
right?
Or even just people who generally know, but they don't know if this time is the time,
yeah, right,
that you actually mean something by it,
right?
Yeah.
And no, I'm very, maybe my web designer education is like, you have to be literal when you need to be literal.
Sure.
So it's like, I always fall back behind that, like, why did you take it like that? No. Here, I will show you my grades to support that I know what I'm doing. But yeah, it's I think one of those, like, you don't feel, I think, sympathetic to JLB trying to care about this person, because it's not really his place to be in a position to care about them.
I can get that. At the same time, I personally definitely, I sympathize with JLB while also knowing and very much that he's not going about this well. Because like one of the things that one of the effective bits when we get to JLB's perspective, where we cut it back and we're no longer in screen, is
Right.
it's clear he's a very sad man. There's something going on there.
No.
And so it's like, I think for that, it's like, okay, I get that he's latching on to this. And it's probably not, it's not healthy, and he's not doing it the right way. And he's freaking Casey out, rightfully so. If she's ever, she should be freaked out by this. But it's something where I can empathize with that a level of despair. Even if I don't feel it myself, I still the movie, I think, does a good enough job of painting that. I'm like, no, I get it. You need to talk to some other people. You need to deal with whatever's going on with you, JLB. But I get what you're feeling here.
Well, sadly, I don't have that sponsorship from BetterHelp yet. But then again, this guy's living in at least a 2-story house, and it's like
his house is nice. His house is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like he is probably wealthy. My guess is that he's divorced, because although we see someone bring bags in the background at one point, and I do. This is me just loving stupid bullshit. Stupid bullcrap.
No. I say PG-13. Like,
okay, fair.
All right.
Stupid bullshit. I do love this. Where in the credits that person's credited as JLB's ? Which is a nice little touch that I love.
Right.
But like, so to me, JLB, like, that's also part of where I get this idea that, did he lose a child and it ended up killing his marriage? And that's part of why he has this big, gorgeous, empty house, when he just seems to sit on the couch staring at nothing, or lock himself in this room staring at a computer. So clearly something's gone awry in JLB's life. Whether his own doing or not, we have no idea.
Right.
But like, and so that's enough for me to go, yeah, no, I feel for this guy. He's not going about it a good way, but I feel for him.
Well, I mean, that's just a issue in
it's a
story.
personal thing, yeah.
Right. I'm saying, oh, that's an issue in storytelling. Like, this is JLB's story. Like, I could see, as we talk about it, it's like I can see it being written by, written from the standpoint of a guy watching this, and like, I don't know, maybe if you wrote it that way, it's kind of like, well, you're encouraging people to be voyeuristic on people who don't know what they're doing. But you could write a story about a guy who's like concerned about about somebody else falling down these wormholes. I mean, all right, JLB is closer to my age than so it's like, okay, well, then he could have had a child commit suicide, maybe even playing this game. There's a story there.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't tell us what's JLB's motivations are, sorry, I can't read him more than being a creep. And let's jump to the third act with like, no, I like, if Casey doesn't go and put a bullet between his eyes, it's like, why'd you make that trip to New York? Like, it's kind of like, I would not entertain this guy. Like, I've been ghosted enough by people my age in the dating standpoint. It's like, you accept, you don't, all right, somebody's got their own issues, and it's something they got to work out with. I mean, and I've had a lot of, I got a lot of, like, I don't want to say I have a lot of experience, but then again, it's like, all right, I've been bankrupted over somebody's heroin addiction. Like, people would appreciate it more if I was the guy doing smack. It's like I've been there. I mean, I've been through some rough times. And it's like, okay, and it's like, okay, well, if nobody hears my context of the story, it's kind of like, and I get invested into something, it kind of says, again, it just goes back to, if you don't define JLB better, like, this could be JLB's story and be a good fair movie. I don't know how much you can really go with this kind of format, which they have difficulty trying to determine. Like, you can't pull out when you're in a documentarian standpoint. You can't pull out and then say, "Well, here's how it is." Like, this is Well, I'll just go back. Like a mockumentary. This is Spinal Tap. If we're ever told, well, Rob Reiner just happens to be around recording all this stuff, if you don't acknowledge it, then it doesn't, it's wasted minutes. I mean, there's a lot, there's a lot of great elements to this film. I mean, even it's just, you make some, it's really in the direct, if we talk more about JLB, there's a narrative there. You have a narrative. You could tell a narrative from Casey if you wanted to, and about her disillusion, and then even entertaining a guy, like the first time she calls.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if a guy's not showing their photo.
Well, I mean, that goes to inexperience, right? Like, a part of that goes to, I don't know how old she's supposed to be, what, 14, 15? I don't know, something like that.
She's in high school.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. So the point is, like, that can easily go to, you're used to these different people online. You don't know who you're talking to when you're just talking via text or whatnot. So translate that to, I'm talking to this random person on video. That makes, I can get why that would
who doesn't show themselves. Like,
yeah, I can get how that doesn't automatically raise red flags. It would for me, but like, I get it, because I've been around for too long for that not to. Casey hasn't, but I can kind of get that. The entertaining him, like, I think this movie also, I think with the entertaining, the let's meet up and grab coffee in New York, is kind of more the movie nodding towards this, like, empathy towards, hey, Casey seeing through this guy this guy has similarities to me in that he is sad, he is a loner, because what kind of I don't know, 40 something, whatever old, year-old man is going to be obsessed with watching these videos about this, false reality game online. And so I could understand a person, especially someone who maybe sees the best in people. We don't know if Casey sees the best in people, but I could see somebody going, oh no, this person, we have enough in common. I'm going to take a chance on meeting up with this person in a public place, because it's on just like grab coffee, whatever, people are in New York City, people around. I can understand that. And then especially, they leave that, he leaves the end when he says that they said at some point we should meet up and watch a movie together, or catch a movie together. That very much feels like the type of thing that people smile, nod, say, yeah, sure, we'll totally do that, and never happens, because they both know, even if JLB doesn't want to admit it, they both know, there's no way for, there's no history of a friendship there. That could go all kinds of weird places, but it very much kind of also cements to me JLB's status as this sad, lonely guy, who just doesn't know how to deal with whatever it is ailing him. And so it makes sense to me that she'd take that, she'd roll those dice.
Yeah.
It's not a good idea, but I understand how a person makes that decision.
Right. Well, yeah. No, I mean, I've nearly gone off to Thailand on whim. So
sure.
Yeah. No, I don't buy, like, and it's to say, I've been ghosted before, and it's like, well, look from their standpoint, lack of safety, and okay. I mean, it's a shit world where, like, okay, I can acknowledge that, well, yeah, maybe you ran into something too fast and you're just trying to distance yourself from it. But, it's like, how do you end up getting to the point where you're like a year later and we're still communicating? It's like, yeah, it's just like, there's a lot of ways you could have gone with this. You could have made her the crazy person. You could have gone the hard candy route and again make her the crazy person, but a crazy we can support. But
Sure, but that would have been making that would have been Schonenbrunn making a very different movie that had very different things to say, and what like that is Jane Schonenbrunn could have made Hard Candy, but they wanted to make something that was about the internet, how we end up interplaying with it instead. Like,
well, yeah, it's just one of those that it's like, I guess from a society where, as I say, ghosting is way too common, or at least for me. So that might be me.
I don't know. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm gonna leave that on the table.
Right?
There.
No. As I say, that might be me, but then you talk about, oh fudge, I got ghosted again, and it's like, well, yeah, no, you're just. I joked with a customer once complaining about, oh well, if only my daughter would pay her portion of this credit card bill, and it's like, well. I fully acknowledge I'm not afraid to take cash from my parents still. So it's like, it's like, look, I'm going I have to start paying for dating websites just as I need to secure a place to live, not because I'm looking, it's a place to live to save some money, not because I give a shit. So, okay, granted, full disclosure, I've God knows how many times I've been introduced as, and this is Russ. He's the most cynical asshole you will ever meet, but once you get to know him, he's fine. He's the nicest person you'll ever know. And there's a sense of pride, and then there's like, as an artist, yes, I take pride. I take pride in both fronts, but it's just one of those, I guess. It's very tough to come from a standpoint, and I find it interesting you were talking more about the JLB side and not the Casey side. Maybe that's an inability to relate to a teenage girl, which, hey, I'm happy to not be able to relate to, I guess. I mean, I'm more disappointed in the parenting standpoint. Like,
I think part of it is because I think I see them as two sides of the same coin. I see JLB as an older version of Casey in the sense that they have a lot, they both are kind of sad, broken people for different reasons, as best as we can tell.
Well, no, that's a very fair statement. I guess I've just coming from a 40 something who's got 20 years of dealing with adulthood, so I could be drinking at 21 and then seeing it play out with people of my age, and then I essentially moved out to Champaign-Urbana because I lived in a 4 a.m. last call town, and it's like, no, I don't need this partying lifestyle. Maybe I got to get myself away from it. And then sitting and watching people do it again from a, no, I've been there. Don't do this type standpoint. I can see that. But it's just something that we don't know enough about JLB. Like, this movie could definitely work if it's one story or the other. But essentially, it's presenting jailbait in Casey. And then somebody who...
That's an interesting way to phrase it, but okay.
Well, no. Okay, I could be a little more sophisticated in saying this is Taxi Driver in a sense.
I mean,
I'm saying that I'm saying that it's not Travis Bickle wanting to shag somebody he's feels responsible for. He wants the best for her.
Sure.
That's where I'm coming from. No, I'm not. No, I'm not saying that JBL seems the type to go and shoot a bunch of pips over her. But I mean,
so yeah. I mean, I can't do anything about how you view that relationship there.
Well, no, I'm just trying to say, okay, I can see it as a father-daughter relationship, and that element, it's just like,
Well, I think the
It's
thing, right,
not
is that
necessarily your place to step in, which again goes back to Taxi Driver. Like, no, sadly, that's
well,
not his place to step in.
I think that's one of the things the movie is also trying to raise is it someone's place to step in? Maybe. I mean, there are
Yeah, no,
times you end
and
up hearing
that is
stories about like people online posting videos and such that are concerning, and after the fact, people look, and someone goes and either commits some atrocities such as some major act of violence
right.
or harms themselves, and afterwards it's like, well, the evidence was right here. Look at these videos, look at these posts. Why didn't someone say something?
Mm.
And this movie I think is grappling with that too, where there's certainly a line of, would it help? Can you do it? Is there a right way to do it? Is it possible to do it in a way that isn't doesn't come across as at least invasive? Is there, is it the place? Very reasonably you can say, I think it's very reasonable that you're like, no, it's not his place at all. I think someone would come away with this reasonably saying, yeah, he's not wrong to try, but he's certainly going about it in a bad way. I mean,
Mm.
as evidenced by her freaking out at him, justifiably so, when he comes on very strong about, are you okay?
Yeah,
And starts
no,
questioning whether she thinks she knows she's in a game.
yeah, but I guess that really kind of so I guess it's just more of like, how do you find yourself as a middle-aged adult into a teenage game? Like,
Well, I think that also presupposes that something like an ARG or creepypasta is only for teenagers and only has appeal to teenagers. That's certainly, I can't say
no,
ARGs in general, but creepypasta certainly is targeted more at that demographic, sure. But I mean, adults getting into it seems perfectly valid.
well, no,
So,
no, no, I get that, but it's still like, it's just really comes down to JLB being like not being fleshed out fully enough as a character. As I say, there's two good movies here. You could focus on Casey, and yes, that turns into hard candy. Or you can focus on JLB, but you got to give us a little more behind him instead of somebody desperate who, as I say, comes across as like somebody who doesn't know how to necessarily deal with any kind of social situation. But it still comes to the point, how does, I mean, I guess you could be obsessed with the game in your 40s. I mean, hell, I still play Pokemon, and what can I say? But from a situation that does not seem like an MMORPG,
no.
like you say, well, false reality. So I guess that's closer to LARPing, dare I say?
Are you familiar with what alternate reality games, ARGs?
No, I can't really say I am. So yeah, no, bring it up. Like as I say, as I say, like they obviously screwed up in just trying to. They probably said MMORPG just to make it something. Oh well, I played EverQuest. As I said, I played EverQuest. I played Star Wars Galaxies. I got friends who played City of Heroes. So, all right.
I think that was, it could have been because it's definitely more people know MMORPG, if for no other reason than WoW.
No,
but I also think it's maybe more a bit of JLB thinks he knows what's going on, but he doesn't really. So an ARG is basically, the idea with an ARG is there is some scenario, situation, whatever, some sort of, yes, it's really, an ARG is a storytelling game. The idea with an ARG is, let's all kind of play at this certain thing. Let's take this thing or set of things as real and play them out. For example, back when I was in college, I came across this one that the game design department did, whereas basically you'd see this, these like little flyers everywhere talking about some like secret meeting and whatnot, and you'd find links to random videos and these message boards of people with cryptic, cryptic different posts and whatnot, and it was basically them trying to tell this story that unfolded over the course of weeks if you followed various posts and blogs that linked off off and everything to kind of create this feeling of this big world, this big secret society that exists just underneath reality, and kind of make this feeling that there's something going on that you never know about. If you're familiar with any of like Thomas Pynchon's work, or like the movie Under the Silver Lake, Inherent Vice was based on a Thomas Pynchon novel, if you don't know. And like all that's kind of this, there's more to the world than I think there is. That's why nothing works out, or things don't go the way I want, or things aren't going well for me. There's something else going on here. And ARGs kind of take that, ARGs are kind of, I don't know when ARGs began or anything like that, but certainly like that's kind of where it's, the space where ARGs sit is, we're all going to pretend this thing is real and tell a story using it. And so that's part of why, to me, this like sits, and it's like very much tied into internet culture, although they existed before that, but they've become more popular then because no one can see your face or anything. It's much, a lot more multimedia elements you can blend in.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it ties in very tightly, very closely these days with internet culture.
All right. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, if we come to a time where we're looking for, I shouldn't say, dare I say, we're in a time where we're expecting explanations for everything.
Oh yeah, I think that.
Like, I'm just saying, like,
everybody thinks that we're at a point. Every time period likes to think that we know everything. I mean, think back to was it Hawking back in the 80s who said that we're at the end of physics before. So
no, and that's. Yeah. But I'm just saying, it's like. Everybody wants all right, I guess it's, just my statement as somebody who's gone through, therapy, and I'm not saying I had a great experience with it, but, it's like, I stopped, once therapy fell apart for me, should have fallen apart for me a lot sooner, but like, I'm trying to get a full-time job now after, I need this, so I'm not going to find the time for that. Never mind the fact that I have the same psychiatrist as my same psychiatrist as the ex-girlfriend I got involved with after we went through inpatient psych ward. Like, all right, I'm just saying, what I'm getting to is like, there came a point where it's like, I can't, find a reason for anything to release right now. And I don't want to go insane trying to locate that.
Yeah, I think that the internet definitely heightens that feeling that there should be an explanation for everything, right? Because there's so many things that maybe the world knew, maybe certain people knew, the rest of us didn't, that the internet lets us learn. And so everything's like that, right? And of course, the reality is, no, we know plenty of, collectively humanity knows a lot, but there's also so much we will never, have no explanation for. And that's why you have various things people turn to try to help cope with that existential dread.
Well, it's just like, I don't know.
Everything's so big.
I mean, existential dread, I think, is something that's related to religion and just in general.
Sure.
Like, you abandon that, and it's like, well, all right, nobody's judging me. Whatever happens. So just, I think we're not getting away from the point where I think it's basically like, all right, you got two good movies here, and I will say, like, it more or less, I get more offended by the fact that some parent, and you say, well, parents don't know what their kids are doing. It's like, I was able to successfully grow up with parents who had a clue, dare I say, suggesting that my little brother's marijuana usage, like, well, my dad probably knew better. Lay off him, mom type situation. It's just very much like, I don't know, there's boundary issues, And I guess this feature could be a statement on internet culture as is. Like, we don't feel there's boundaries any longer. Like, again, all right, I've, as a 35-year-old, I slept with a 22-year-old. Like, okay, yeah, went out if I was a, all right, 13-year difference. All right, if I was a 28-year-old sleeping with the same person, that would be bad.
Mhm.
So it's like, just the idea of, some buddy in their middle age, like, I'm just hung up on it, dare I say. Like, I know it's not my place. Like, now, and it goes back, as you say,
I
there's a
mean,
lot of there's a
that's
lot of
definitely there that he's
there's
obsessed
a
with someone who
there's
is
a
way
lot
younger
of
than him. That's
well,
weird.
no,
That's
but
definitely there. Yeah.
there's a lot of great elements, as you said. Like, there's a lot of great elements that could make this movie work. Like, if we knew he had I mean, I'll go up to even 16-year-old kid who committed suicide, car accident. I mean, plenty of trauma. I mean, like, this podcast, I always dedicate to my best friend Stacia Harden, who died of a heroin overdose at 22, and I've been living with the guilt of not being there when I could. And there you go. I'm helping JLB's argument, you know, but it's not
I
my
mean,
place. It's not my place to look for these cases. And with the
oh, sure,
internet,
yeah.
and with the
Yeah.
internet, it's like I guess it's more of like, how does some middle-aged person find themselves in, dare I say, a teenage trend? Like, okay, say if now I can make
We
a
can disagree about whether creepypasta is a teenage trend, but
well, not necessarily. No, it's not a teenage trend, because again, that 22-year-old at 35, it's like, oh, makes me sound like a shithead entertaining her piece creepy pasta stuff to get laid, but I'm not saying it's not something that expands. People extend, like, people are looking for explanations. They're starting to create explanations, is I think the problem. I mean, creepypasta is better than QAnon. I'll say that.
sure. I mean,
Uh,
one is a storytelling game trope style, whatever, and one is a conspiracy theory that I'm sure we both could go off on for a while about how
right,
insane.
but I'm just saying,
But
it's
that's neither here nor there.
I am just saying fiction nonetheless. But we're looking for answers, and where we will go
Yeah, but no
and
one's looking for answers in art. They're looking for an escape. They're looking for fun. They're looking for the
well,
same things that you see Casey looking for there, which is kind of this: how do I engage with the community while still remaining the loner that I am? And
uh,
maybe not even engage, but at least just like, I'm gonna just start putting stuff out and just doing things and whatever, and playing that game. Whereas other things looking for this explanation of the world, but no, this is very much just like,
well,
let's
no,
build this world that
eh,
doesn't exist and we all know doesn't exist,
but
and where the
that's just this, where until you have that argument segment where Casey says, well, that's not even my real name.
Mhm.
Do you really possibly think she doesn't have a clue? Like, again, it's just a sense of narrative. Like, we don't have any clues that Casey might think otherwise. We don't have, and it's very difficult to get you to want to relate to the middle-aged guy obsessed with a high schooler's
Hmm.
efforts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I'd say that I relate as much as empathize, like empathizing with both of them
Well,
rather than, yeah.
No,
Because yeah, no,
but
it's
well, here's the thing.
huh?
Empathy is something that I could definitely, this story allows you to empathize with JLB, which, dare I say, well, there's no dare I say, and I'm sorry for saying that. I'm just trying to cover my ass,
Mhm.
which is fair. Like,
I mean, I think it also lets you empathize
well,
with
no, but I'm
Casey
just,
too.
well, it's just focusing on JLB. Like,
Sure, okay.
there's plenty of people who think there's more creeps out there and such. Like, you know, so, well, let's see. There's like people are told to look for creeps everywhere,
Hmm.
and there are just some people who have a mental block. They're not trying to be creepy. They're just trying to be empathetic.
Oh, you mean that's
Say
JLB's lack of social skills?
right? No, you're
Sure,
right.
sure.
It's one of those like, how do you get a big house, not getting married, what have you? Like, I mean, God knows I'm happy with my 800 square feet.
Mm.
I could use another 100 square feet, but
Sure.
that's not until like, oh, Russ, you could have this from my parents' house. Well, shit, if I only had another 100 square feet. But no, I'm just saying, it's like, okay, like it's not, it's really not, again, it's just a storytelling element. Like, you want to be JLB or you want to be Casey?
Neither? I don't know,
Well,
you have to
no.
pick.
Well, no. Well, here, I mean, and I say that, and it's like, well, nobody wants to watch the story about a 40-something trying to come to terms with not not technically, but from a generic standpoint, Lolita complex. Like, it's not that. I'm just saying.
And yet you keep going there.
Well, it's more or less like, okay, it's more or less like,
I mean, I think the purpose is more of the age difference, right? It's just more generational divide. Is more this person who grew up not understanding how you can grow up in this type of world versus Casey who has never been, if
well,
she's in high
no,
school now, then she's never
well,
been
but no,
without
no,
the
I
internet in its
yeah,
modern
oh
form.
no,
Yeah.
there's definitely a generational gap there. I'm just, I guess I'm just, really hung up on how, like,
That's fair. I
how you go, like, how
Sure.
do you end up focusing on a high schooler? Like,
Sure.
I mean,
So I had a question
it
with your
goes
other
back.
hang
Okay, no,
So we've talked
go
about that hang up
ahead.
a bunch. So your other hang up you've mentioned a bunch is the like feeling like it's two separate movies, either Casey or JLB. We
Yeah,
have a movie that has these two different perspectives in it. And I'm curious what your thoughts are on what you would do, on what would make you feel if you, assuming you had these two halves, you're gonna have a movie that focuses on Casey's side and JLB's side. How do you do that in a way that would satisfy Russ?
all right. One, it's not a two half thing. Sorry. You like, I could see.
Hey, they don't have to be equal or
Well,
see it.
no,
It's how would
no.
you blend those two
All right,
stories?
no. I acknowledge you have to have these two characters. There we go. I could see doing a first act about Casey and cutting out the let's follow her into the woods to the cold video or follow her to the shed. I mean, hell, I could have opened up the movie with the entire shed bit. Her watching
If
a video.
we're if we're not if you so you're saying in that case it would be never on the screen. You'd never be in the screen like we are for much of the movie.
Well, no,
Gotcha.
not necessarily
Okay.
say that. I could see doing the video, the initial video, which,
Mm,
gosh,
where she does the we're all going to the World's Fair bit.
you
Yeah.
gotta have patience to put up with that bullshit. I'm sorry.
Do you mean Casey or put up with Casey, put up with that game, or us the viewer to put up with the movie?
put up with us as the viewer putting up with the game concept. Like,
I mean, I guess to me,
why
there's both
why
Bloody
is
Mary,
why
you have
why
Beetlejuice,
well right, but
So that's
do I need to spend 6 minutes on that? You know, I there you could have cut that tighter. Just saying.
sure. That's the bit
Like
where
once he says I'm gonna do this, and then 3 minutes later, I don't have a good French accent, so I can't do the
sure.
SpongeBob.
Yeah,
bit.
the SpongeBob bit.
Okay,
So
all right, that's just more of like, okay,
right, sure. That's it.
Once you establish that scene, then you have two different movies you go with. You go with JLB, or you could go with Casey. I would show, like, if you want to go, like, if you want to incorporate the both, which I will say, Jane
Stonebrun.
Thank you.
Yep.
I have it on. I've got it on the computer. I'm looking.
Yeah.
All right. So, like, once you get, like, I would go with some videos. I could spend even 20 minutes on that stuff. Well, no. Oh, you don't need to have 20 minutes because you like the sleep bit. Like,
oh no, I'm just curious. What trying to keep this divide, or trying to keep the two stories. What would make Russ happy? Ignore the bits I personally.
Well, no.
What would
I'm
make
just
Russ
saying.
happy?
Well, no, and I want to make this movie work. I would not. I would have watched the other movie you offered. Like, do I screw The Exorcist out for
I'm just chuckling. I'm just saying, if this is a reaction to We're All Going to the World's Fair, your reaction to Heinz Maid would have been very interesting.
Here's the deal. Like, somebody wanted to do The Exorcist. I really want to guess, so I had to watch 4 other sub 100-minute movies to justify watching a 2-hour movie. So so when I okay, it's time for this podcast. We're all going to the World's Fair, and as I'm 5 movie deeps in another concept, and it doesn't knock me out of the park. And I'm not saying this movie is bad by any means. All right, Letterboxd 2 stars, but
fair enough.
Believe me, if you're 1.5, I will rip a like.
Oh no! I want 5 stars.
Well,
on this movie, I'm 5 stars within my 4 on the profile.
Oh no, that's fair. There is, like, I would not entertain this movie if there isn't something there. I'm like, there's a lot of elements. The direction, aside from the pulling out, like, oh, here's the reality of this, there's the reality of that. Like, the movie could have worked if we never pull the camera out on Casey.
Sure. One of the things I'm very
like we could have done the initial we're going to the World's Fair pricking stuff.
Sure.
Hey, there's an element of emo kid in me which I try to cover up, but which totally relates to that. It's just like, we could have cut to the next video, and then there's a way I could but we got to make this JLB story. We got to make this Casey story to really make this movie work. So it's a credit to pulling up my window so I make sure I have it all. Jane Schoenbrunn, about, it's a credit to what she's trying to do. Like, there's genius here. I would not entertain this movie on my well, all right. I can be desperate for content. So
sure.
I shouldn't say I would not entertain this movie. No. But she's got a great mind. She wrote this movie as well. So
yeah. And edited it. So your issues with the editing are also on their shoulders. But no, I think for the
And no,
directing, one
no,
of the things
little,
that's
little,
definitely
no, the
worth
direction,
praising
the
is when you
direction.
have a first time like narrative
Yeah,
director like Sean Brune. Again, second movie, first time. I'm someone who loves a bunch of movies that fall into the slow cinema category. So there's certainly an element here that helps explain why I love this movie so much, because it
well,
blends it with horror, which is uncommon. But I think first time directors who are willing and confident enough to just sit with a shot for a long time to help get you in there and kind of create this vibe and create, in this case, when we get deeper into the movie, a lot of dread is really impressive to a very different effect. I don't know if you ever saw After Sun from last year,
no,
Charlotte
I did
Wells'
not.
debut. Very good film. Also another slow meditative film, not horror at all, but using this kind of long shots to instead kind of create a feeling of almost like of longing and loss, but like the confidence from both of them to really just both with their performers and with what they've put on screen here to just sit with the shot and let it play out and try to kind of create the vibe is a big part of it. And I think that's also you get some of the videos we see on the totally not YouTube site that Casey's uploading them to, where you get some like these videos that like, why is that there? Well, it's just creating this vibe. It's creating this, putting you in this headspace to try to help drum up that dread and really get you into the space where these characters live. And that's something I'm always impressed by with like a young filmmaker. Because I think Sean Brune is also not they're young and also again second feature length film.
Well,
First
and like,
narrative one. So yeah.
well, no, and I'm not like, I should say, first narrative film. And sadly, we're in a society where so many people knock it out of the park with their first narrative feature. Like, you're talking to a guy who, definite Gen Xer, like dealing with Tarantino and Smith.
Sure, those people tend to be the exception, but yeah.
Well,
Sure.
yeah, but
Talk to most people about Following from Christopher Nolan. I like that movie, but
I love the Following. So I love Following. No, I am.
Aronofsky's Pie. They're good, but
Well,
yeah.
you say that, and it's like
Yeah.
you're getting me going like, yes, they are awesome. So it's like, again, it's like we got our true artistic minds, and it's like with their knockout debuts, and then we're here talking about, like, again, it's kind of like, this might be a movie not meant for my generation, dare I say. And I think that kind of, well, no, I'm just saying it kind of indicates.
Well, I'm just saying that's an interesting perspective. It's not invalid.
No, it kind of indicates its shortcomings from a guy who's from a generation where I had Smith, I have Tarantino. As I say, I grew up in the Midwest, but I'm definitely old enough to be a Gen Xer. I'm not saying I'm mature enough to be a Gen Xer, but
I'll let the jokes write themselves.
Yeah, right. No, don't they? I can't question that. So it's like, and I dare I say I'm being an asshole for exemplifying the fact I'm a Gen Xer. The best we did was protest Bush Senior, which was not a challenge by any stretch of the imagination. So it's just one of those, like, I guess, and for me, being an internet professional, or at least trained as such, it's like just knowing boundaries and what have you. As I say, I'm still hung up on JLB. It's got to just stop and think, like, dare I say, let teenagers be teenagers? If we had more story behind JLB's motivation for such, you got a movie. Like, I don't want to kill somebody in the first 5 minutes in a car accident, or something more horrific, internet based, dare I say, a stalking situation.
mean, I
But
think one thing too with JLBs, with like the little we get on JLB, is that we have this bit as well where our perspective on JLB mirrors his perspective on Casey, right? Because he doesn't actually know much about Casey's life. He gets little glimpses, little bits and pieces, and he has the added layer of not knowing how much is a game, of course, but
well,
like how much of it is the game
that
versus
is
not. But
gonna
with
that's
this, it's
still
also
gonna
that
that is still gonna be the fault of your premise. It's like when they say MMORPG and all of the IMDb's max descriptions, it's the fact that we have a generation that does not know this ARG stuff.
Mhm. And so
So
I think that's also why, I mean, we were talking before, right, about how it's interesting that this movie where Casey kind of is the focal point and driving things forward, we spend much more time in JLB's perspective. And I think
well
that's a
in
big part of it, right?
well to
It's
the
like,
credit
which is
to the credit
also why, okay, go
to
ahead.
to the credit of the direction by Jane, that's not a bad thing. Like
No, I agree. And
it's like, no, I like we're introduced to Casey. We're focused on Casey. So I can understand where the fall off happens with not really in the JLB. There's just so that might be a script standpoint. I could definitely tell you his direction is flawed. I'm not afraid to state that. Like you can't pull out of, again, it's the 180. I got that from a lesson from a voice actor at a Peorian anime expo. Granted, this guy did the voice, I think, of Master Roshi on Dragon Ball Z, so I think he's got some cred. But I'm just saying it's kind of like, okay, so the direction is flawed. But I'm not upset about that. What I'm saying, it's just like, okay, because there's still a story that could be had. And I guess the flaw is the direction does not tell us. And a few cuts, it could have worked. Like, oh, well, JLB is in watching this the entire time. So cut the entire scene of her getting ready to set up her camera out in the cold to say, I don't feel anything.
well, I think that's one of those ones that I think, to go back, we were talking before too about.
Well, I'm just saying, and then if you
sure, but
if you kept with that, if you cut that out, kept with it, boom, we can get right to.
Well, right, but then we lose something in the process, because what they're trying to do with that scene, as well, one of the that scene amongst others, right, is that they're trying to set up this kind of blurring between fact and fiction, but more, we're also seeing Casey very much being performative and trying to meld in these aspects of other videos she's seen. We previously saw, we'd seen her watch our buddy Theo Anthony as the man on the treadmill who can't feel pain. So she's like, okay, I'm going to sit here and tell everyone I can't feel cold, even though mere seconds before she starts recording, we see her take off her jacket to make this point, and driving home that she knows exactly what she's doing. She's having fun with this game. She's escaping into it for whatever other reasons. But like, that's a kind of an element that we lose, because if she's just on a screen, she's just a fictional character. Whereas by having the both aspects, we see both her as a fictional character, her as the face she presents to the world, and we get a little bit, for a short time, we get a little bit of who she actually is, enough to know what she's, enough to have a grounding and help blur things, ironically blur things further, because we know she's not in a great spot, but how much of that is the game versus versus what's going on in her life that JLB has no grounding for later on.
Well, yeah, I guess you could say that, but it's like, yeah, we should still have just cut from her watching, like, not even her watching, because I think it's most effective when we don't have a clue who's watching, when we just have those little arrows rotating for the next bit. Like, oh, I can't feel pain, and then you cut to that. Like, I mean, gosh, it's, as you say, just maybe you shot too much, Jane. Or you thought you were doing something, and it's like, Yeah, well, it does not. That just breaks the like it work. Like this movie would work if you just focus on JLB once he pulls back for the screen,
Sure.
and
So from your perspective, oh sorry.
that could have worked. Otherwise, I could have just shown like, okay, boom, you have your credit sequence, which I don't really know what they were going for. Sorry, I'm like, oh, let's show this, let's show this, let's show this bankrupt place, let's show this bankrupt place. I mean, to Jane's credit, to find an empty Toys R Us, I just seen Crunch Fitness or freaking
Sure.
fill out those places pretty fast. So I'm just saying, like, okay, you need that, but I get it. You need that for the all right, boom, credit, boom. But then you could just gone with video, and just put us in Casey. Like, I think we're all ready to be in Casey's perspective, and I think that there it goes. The flaw of the film is like we're ready to be Casey's perspective the entire way, and then all right, we get the first JLB interaction, and then we get back to Casey and watching her videos, and then like. And now we're going back to JLB. Like, no, I want to know about Casey. I don't give hell. I don't give a shit about the middle-aged person watching this. And I still am like, JLB needs to be more established. What's his backstory? Instead of just throwing him into a situation where, like, I go back to this. I have no stand-up comic who was doing Marty DeRosa, who was doing a bit like, well, his girlfriend is doing great job-wise. He can be the house husband. And like, oh, I'm going to work. What are you doing? You know, I feel like doing acid. That's the only interaction I can justify any adult having with high schoolers necessarily, because no sophisticated drug dealers going to deal with acid. It's a high school drug. So it's like, I mean, we need more about JLB to justify why he's even in the situation of even considering trying to take care of, feel paternal to a high schooler who's not his own.
So it sounds like, back to my earlier question about how would you make a movie with both these perspectives work? The answer is you wouldn't. You just pick one and dive into that.
No. All I need is to kill a kid in the first 15 minutes. I think I have a movie about JLB. Like that's just
right. But that's a different movie. I was talking about make something like this movie. That's in this vein.
There's no.
Do that. And it sounds like
I'm just saying,
there's no way that works.
No,
which is fair.
I'm saying it's like you got two. You either are going to focus on Casey or you're going to focus on JLB. And when Casey calls JLB a pedophile, it's like, hell yeah, finally put this guy in his place. And I don't need you pull like that. That should be the end of the movie. Essentially, I don't need pulling back and JLB's like, how do I reconcile with that, dude? You got called a pedophile. Just walk away. I mean, you want to let's go to the movie Ghost World. Steve Buscemi's dealing with a therapist at the end of that movie over everything. I can see that working. But
sure,
again, it's just like that's not a place you should be to begin with. And
fair enough, but it sounds like that thing kind of colors the whole perception of this movie for you, correct?
I guess I watch it and it's like I've known enough. That's just my perspective. Is like I've known enough and dealt with enough. Now, granted, they were all out of high school, and we're talking my early 20s, but I dealt with enough people trying to figure that I could be fascinated figuring their stuff out. And it's like, do you really want to over engage in this? Like, there's a hero element, I guess, that JLB, and I can even relate to that, dare I say. Not dare I say, I said. It's like, yeah, you don't want these people to screw up, and you don't want anything bad to happen to these people. It's just a situation of like, there's a difference between me, frequently the post pro wrestling show strip club, and then, and then there's JLB focusing on a high schooler.
Yeah, I mean, I think though the thing too, right, is that we're watching a movie about a high schooler, right?
Well,
And
that's
so,
just it. Like, it would work. Like, it'd be tougher to sell, but there is a story about JLB, and there is a story about Casey.
Mhm.
And
both of those have been movies, not them specifically, but yeah, you get
no,
those
but
kind of movies, all the time.
right. You're right, but
there's a whole genre of movie around a Casey type character.
Right,
Yeah.
but does that mean you need to try to create a new genre? Like,
No, of course not. No,
right.
no.
So that's what I'm saying.
No,
It's
no.
like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, oh, Casey, that's a played out genre. Yeah, it is.
I think it's more interesting to someone who's trying to be creative to do something new. You try something new, even if that swing misses, right? You said you're trying to be a screenwriter, right? So I imagine your screenplay is something that's at least, you said it was what was it? Zombie wrestling comedy, if I remember correctly, which is not something that I recognize as a thing. And I'm sure that's way more interesting and fun to you to try it, even if you were to try it and it ends up failing, right?
Well,
it's more fun to try something new than to say, here's these old things, let me just do that.
Here's the thing, and here's the thing, and I'm pretty much shooting down my own movie, but it's basically like, I was writing indie scripts about my experience in there, and then I came across a so-called indie movie theater, which lasted maybe 3 years in Peoria.
It's a shame.
Yeah, it is. But there were B movie double feature nights.
Oh, that's fun.
And it basically told me, like, oh, great. Well, yeah, I know this is movies done on I say B movie, I should say Z movie, as in no budget movie.
Sure. No budget movies are fun, even when they're awful.
Yes, precisely. And that is what I'm going. That was what I was going for with Main Event of the Dead. Is like, I know enough people. We at least make the wrestling look cool. I can at least make the gore look cool. Let's get me on IMDb, and then we'll go from there. So I will have to go, and with that said, I'd have to go and say that backspace. Okay. Jane Schoenbrun's far more braver than I. Because I was going to work towards, I had my experimental movies, and essentially I sold myself out creatively to create Man of the Dead. So,
because less indie. Gotcha.
Right. No, I'm going for exploitation, not art. So and that's where you're right. Take a wild swing and a miss should be appreciated more than just trying something that's been done. It doesn't change the fact that a wild swing and a miss is still a miss.
Sure.
So, I mean, there's a lot of things you can appreciate about about this film, and I hope, start a Kickstarter, Jane. I will throw money behind it, because I know.
They already have their next feature is already lined up. A24 is producing it. I saw the
Oh, there
TV
you.
glow. Yeah,
Oh, okay, all right. So
yeah.
she's doing
This
fine.
was a
So,
no budget film that got a lot of buzz. They already had buzz because they were part of a site called the Eye Slicer. It's a
okay,
bunch of like other
so,
things. I'm not familiar with that stuff. I just know their
but
background a little
all
bit.
right,
So yeah,
but there you
yeah,
go. Like, I know she.
they're doing fine.
Oh, all right. So yeah, I mean, I'm not saying this movie is even worth not watching because maybe again, I'm a 40 something who's doesn't have any children. I don't know, I have enough difficulty looking after myself, let alone other people. So it might not have, it might not have hit me closely. And there's, as I argue for like certain people in the professional wrestling business, like, oh, this like I'll say it, wrestler Marty Skrull in England, who is accused of rape, and then like, well, but everything else seems to fit the statutory terms. It's just what argument is what, and so many people have gotten away with that. It's like, okay, like, I'm just saying, it's like, it's let's run this through the cycle, through our justice systems, what have you, before we go and start ostracizing. And I know so many people in the professional wrestling business who got away with so much. It's like, so, but it's like,
where are you going with that converstion, Spur?
well, no, where I'm going with
where
that,
does that tie in?
where I'm going with that is there's so many people who get shut out, dare I say, for not necessarily, for stuff that, okay, I come from the 80s, dare I say, and it's like, how often was sleeping with a high schooler not a comedy trope?
Oh yeah, the 80s were full of that. It was
right. So I'm just saying, it's like, all right,
was,
no laws broken. Let's not
messed
go
up time in the 80s.
well, I'm just saying, no laws broken. Let's not, let's not go and just throw people under buses and what have you. Especially when you have other people in the business who definitely did that. Like there's a commentator.
I still don't know where we are in this conversation.
Well, no. It's no. I'm just saying no. There's no reason I got into that conversation.
Okay.
No.
I was waiting for it to come back around. It never did, so I figured I'd pipe up.
Well, no, it was playing upon the creepy element of JLB. And it's like, okay, well, and sadly, I've dealt with two. Well, no, okay, and I'm talking myself out of the argument because I've dealt with too many people taking advantage of patriarchal concerns.
Mm-hmm.
Too many father figures in this world, dare I say? That's no, that and that go, and I don't even want to get into the actual personal experience about that. Not me, but I've got my scars, like telling people, like, yeah, no, that's not good for you. So I'm just saying, it's like, and I mean, if you want to judge me, like so I have a trivia team on Thursday, and there was
that's fun.
There was
I haven't done trivia in too long.
You're right. So, but before the next tournament to get to the Chicago show and the Chicago finals came up, like, all right, let's come up with team names before we go back to our basic shrug emoji, which is beyond basic. We are awesome. And it was like 1 week I showed up 15 minutes late, and the team name, well, we just called the team Where's Russ? The next week, this is after we won that we won that day once I showed up. I accidentally spilled a drink on somebody. And the next week, our name was Russ Should Apologize. And then the following week, it's like, well, we've won the last 2 weeks with my name involved, and then it became Russ is so vain. And we didn't win that week. And then last Thursday, we did the tournament, and we could have won. I just wasn't confident in my knowledge. Like, one of the questions was, what bacterial disease is associated with blindness? that is also a venereal disease. I say, chlamydia, that's pretty common, which I was right. It wasn't until a team member said, don't koalas have a lot of chlamydia in there? Yes. And then the last question of which we didn't bet any points on, if we would have, we probably could have won, was who's the most nominated original screenplay writer?
I got nothing.
For the Oscars. The answer the answer is Woody Allen, and that's who I thought it was, but it's like, what? There's 50 years before Woody Allen, so let's not say that. Let's not bet anything on that.
Yeah.
It's wrong. So it's like they were joking around. Well, next time we have a chance to name our team differently, it's going to be Russ, Scott, Chlamydia, and Woody Allen. So that shows you where my head's at, I guess.
Trivia team names is an underrated location for bits. Great place to do bits, like running. Yeah, thanks. Great.
Right. So that tells you where. But I'm just saying that tells you kind of where my head's at. If it's like, yes, I still watch Woody Allen movies. Oh fuck, and
everyone has their line. That's fair.
Yeah. So that, I guess that's where my head's at. It's like, until I watch Pharaoh versus Allen, should I change my standpoint? I don't know. So I don't know. I just see so many people get screwed out, and like, we really got to hear things out, and judgments and all that stuff, I guess is where I was going with that. So I shouldn't be which tells me I shouldn't be judging JLB that harshly. So
it's roundabout, but I think we got there with that. Yeah. Okay, sure.
Right.
We got somewhere with that.
I'm two podcasts in, 4 margaritas, 2 shots. Sure. Like, yeah. But it goes back to like the entire idea of people again. Like, I mock the concept of Casey having her own channel. It's like, but no, that's only because I've done this I was a professional performer for 15 years and then a writer and all this stuff. Like, who knows? I don't know. I guess I can't relate to the kids. And I
mean, I also grew up in a time where I'm like, man, I didn't get my first cell phone till I was a junior in high school, and now I know people, and I know, I'm sure compared to you that was young, but it's and like, friends' kids now getting their first cell phone in elementary school. So it's not. It's like, to me, it's just like, I think that kind of thing is also why I'm like, yeah, it's just march of the times. Like, do I think it's the best idea for someone going through all the messiness and trauma of high school to also be, have a channel? Probably not. But at the same time, plenty of people do it and seem to come out fine enough. It's could be worse. And what Casey's doing with it is also not the most personal thing, besides that it's her face as well, right? Like, it's collaborating to play a game rather than my generation more sharing every personal detail about when you go out on Facebook. That's so
I don't know. I mean, that goes back to, like, I don't want children, and thankfully have not had any. But it's like, I see that and it's kind of like, I think I could do it better.
Everyone thinks they can do it better, and then they're a parent, they realize how hard it actually is.
I'm just saying, I should not be in a situation where it's like, God, you guys suck. Let me try it.
I don't know, but
so this movie, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if we really changed any. Like, you said, it was a 5-star on your opinion, and
for me, yes, personally,
and I think you've
got. Don't worry. A lot of my friends also look at me crazy when they hear how much I love it. So,
well, how much you love it, that can be questionable.
I'm not.
I'm not. As I say, I'm not saying Jane Schoenbrunn doesn't have potential. Doesn't have. As you say, she's got her A24 movie, so she's doing something right. And I can't even say she's not doing something right. I guess it's maybe for so your friends might think, oh, it's just creepy, but me, I'm more or less like, again, it's like parenting. I just, it's one of those like I could do it better situation. And I'm not saying I could be a better director than her. It's like, but I think I could write a better movie, edit a better movie. But she's definitely there. The acting, I'd say, her.
Personally, I thought Anna Cobb, who plays
Thank
Casey,
you.
was really
Yes.
good.
Oh yeah, no, she's
and
very
this was her feature film debut, which is always impressive.
right. So and no, she's very authentic. So JLB, that's a
Yeah, that
little
was fine. Yeah.
yeah, right. I don't know how you again with the fact that dude, I just think I just think like this is not where you should put your like dare I say with my wrestling standpoint about hey, give people breaks like yeah, no, you shouldn't be here.
Yeah. Now I think he did a good
just
job embodying that character that has this deep sadness. He
yeah.
didn't blow me away, but like I thought he put enough in that I read him as having more going on there.
But
even if it doesn't come through to everyone. But yeah.
But as you say, he didn't blow you away. Like, but what if he? But what if he? What if he did? Is where I'm getting from. Like there.
Sure.
Yeah.
That kind of role is going to be a tricky one to really.
Oh no!
Really capture.
No, no. It's a tough role. And
yeah, it's a small, kind of very subdued role, so it's gonna be hard to make a huge impression.
Oh well, there you go. Though
acting,
it's like when you stop and analyze the story, though, it's not that small a role. They're the focus of the third act.
However, I mean,
dare I say the second act. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, it kind of this movie doesn't have clean act breaks. It just kind of does its thing. But well, it doesn't have a clean second 2-3 act break. The first one's pretty clean, but but he like, I think the thing that sells it there is to me the character is this. He feels small despite the fact that he makes a big part of the movie. And to be fair, a good chunk of that part of the movie from the moment we depart Casey's perspective is videos. Even though we're from his perspective, we're sitting there watching him watch Casey.
Well, and that's
so you have that strange dichotomy of it's his perspective,
I could say right. I'm just saying.
Dynamic.
Well, and no, it goes back to like you got to watch it a second time to realize that it's his perspective for the third act.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
or even the third and second act. So fair, I mean,
I like my first time through, I clocked that I'm like, wait, we haven't seen Casey from her perspective in a while. I did have to scrub back through to figure out where it happened.
Right.
But it definitely struck me as, wait a minute, we haven't actually like had an out of camera bit with Casey in a while, huh?
No,
it's just been JLB watching the video, watching Casey passive aggressively read his tarot cards. Just great.
Gosh, like
that was fun. I liked that scene a lot.
Yeah, well, but again, it's not necessarily clear because we don't get enough JLB on that, or we don't get enough. Like, I mean, there's a narrative there, and it just like I don't know. I think all the stuff except for the lengthiness of the first scene, and that's more of a preference thing, works without JLB. So it really sells Anna. Can't.
Anna Cobb is the actress.
Cobb, thank you. So, yeah, it's just like I'm so focused on her. I guess that's where there we go. Why the film fails for me is not the creepiness of like why somebody my age focusing on teenagers. Like we got a good story with her. Maybe her entertaining, like more of her perspective, even dealing with JLB.
So Here, I mean, this I think
she is far more interesting than JLB.
Sure. Let me try this explanation of how I view this. Are you familiar with the band A Perfect Circle?
Oh yeah, no, I saw them live in Peoria, 2003.
You know their song "The Outsider"?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
From 13th Step. Yeah.
Right.
Great.
Yeah.
So the thing about that song is you listen to it and it's a song that got pegged a lot as being about a person committing suicide. And then you hear Maynard James Keenan talk about it, and he makes a point that they copped out on the video. They did the goofy comedic Bikini Bandits video.
Yeah. No,
because
I've
he's
seen
like
the video.
concept. Yeah, he's like the concept of the song that I couldn't get people to understand is it's not about someone committing suicide. It is about somebody watching somebody preparing and deciding to do the act. And in the same way, I think that's what you lose if you cut JLB out of this. This isn't a movie that is solely about. It's a little bit about. I mean, it's not solely about a teenager who's like isolated and feeling disconnected and feeling kind of like I don't know what I'm doing. It's about that and more, but more it's about somebody watching that from the outside and not knowing what to do with it, but knowing something feels wrong and not knowing how to deal with that. And you lose that entire aspect of it if you cut out JLB entirely.
I will say I think Phil Collins did it better, dare I say, with In the Air Tonight.
Sure. Okay.
Sorry, just
different conversation, but sure.
No, I'm just saying it's like no, and that's about watching somebody murder and not reporting it. But
sure.
I'm just saying it's kind of like the concept.
Point, yeah.
Of being
even if that's the case, point still stands, right?
Right, being the outsider,
right,
and determining if you should get involved at all.
Right, yeah, and not even necessarily knowing what you're seeing, but knowing something's off.
Well, no, but I'm just saying it's like I think it's more about like, well, I don't know, because it's still set ass like for somebody who was bitching about 24 views. That's something she says in the movie.
I don't remember her complaining so much about not having many views.
It was after
your word, I forget. I don't remember. Yeah.
It's after she got out of bed like, this is stupid.
Oh yeah. When she's wandering, she's going to
24
like
views.
30. Yeah. She's upset about that as she's mumbling and wandering over to the shed right before she finds JLB's creepy ass video.
Right.
I think that's a great sign too of how JLB doesn't know how to interact with the world. But we've discussed that bit already.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying it's like and one of those 34 people decides to totally get involved. That's so I don't know. I will say I don't think the ending sits well with me. Like
you mean the way it's done or narratively?
Narrative. Well, the way it's done. Well, just saying, I ran into her. Like, we're looking for resolution for JLB, and it's like, dude, you're not supposed to get. Maybe it's personal experience. You're not supposed to get resolution on that one.
I mean, he kind of, he gets more of it. That's definitely true. It's an interesting way to end it. I do agree that the ending, I think, is that bit, the fact that they meet in New York City, or he relays that they met in New York City. Which I think is an important detail. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's weird the way it ends. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, no, I don't need to like. Doesn't feel honest. Dare I say?
It feels like it's an interesting. I think that the ending's a bit doesn't quite. It sits weird. I agree on that.
Yeah, no, you could have ended it on hey.
I kind of like it for showing where Casey is in her growth and such, and also indicating that there's all these layers of artifice around her, but ultimately there was something going on because he mentions, assuming he's being truthful, which who knows, but assuming he is, he mentions that she spent some time in an institution, and so which says to me she had something going on. who knows whether he had anything to do with helping her? Probably not, but does indicate there was something
but
real he's picking up in there, showing,
but
kind of says, even
yeah,
through all the artifice, there's reality seeping through.
I
Even though he went about it in a horrible way.
yeah, no, I'm not gonna buy the reality seeping through because I've known way too many people who like um or maybe I'm just envious. Like I had an ex-girlfriend kick me out of the apartment, and then her life went into a downward spiral. She got a hold of me saying, "Hey, you're gonna do fine," despite I was stalking you. um, and it's like, well, hey, cool, all right, I'm in a better place. You're in a better place. I'd like to meet up, and then it's like, no, we're poison, and totally ruined my, sent me through a downward spiral after like I'm like, no, I didn't need your involved. Like, you can't, you like, okay, if you saw that I'm in a depressed state and like, there I go back to In the Air Tonight. If I saw you were drowning, I would not lend a hand. Like, all right, you see I'm drowning, throw me a life vest, throw me a, don't say, well, oh no, I'm glad I got this out of my system, that I'm not angry at you anymore.
Sure, but isn't that
But
what JLB is doing? Is he just trying to throw a hand? But
right,
he's being misguided about it.
right. And I'm just saying my reality states that no, you don't get that kind of closure of like, oh, we get to straighten everything out. No, like I was she went to an institution,
Mhm.
and I, pulled myself out of my own rut.
Oh, I
And
don't know that we get the sense that the JLB is out of a rut. He still seems very
no, I'm not saying he doesn't seem in a
off.
rut,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
he's telling a story of getting that hand
Yes.
to pull him out, and it's like,
Yes. I think that is the level on which that ending works for me, where it feels narratively a little bit weird. The fact that they meet up again, I agree with that. That would have been like, I don't know exactly the right way you land that, but I feel like that's strange, but it does work for me on an emotional storytelling piece because of the fact that it does say Casey. It does tell me that Casey sees the thing that kind of clicks, that clocks for me that I mentioned before too, about them having some, having being in a similar mental place of being this loner who needs an escape online.
right, I
Narratively, it's a little bit, doesn't a little bit clunky narratively. I'll give you that, sure, but I think I
I
don't mind it because of the emotional bit.
yeah, but I'm just saying it's like having dealt with kind of similar situations. No, I just can't buy it. That's just it. It's like you either when you're in a toxic situation, you either walk away from it or you surrender to it, and you end up getting in a worse place. So I feel bad for JLB. It's like, dude, you are opening your checkbook.
Interesting. Now, I've
Yeah.
definitely, I think maybe part of it comes down to personal experience. I've definitely had times where, given distance from a bad situation, I've been able to return to that friendship or whatnot, and in a better place, even if it's just for that one touch point, and then go your separate ways. But like, I definitely get the whole. Okay, listen, I'm too in this right now. I'm too focused on it, emotional about it, however, whatever the exact case may be, and then do whatever self work you need to do
Well, no,
to
and
be able to re-engage. And so I guess that bit very well might come down to, is that believable based on what you've experienced,
right,
which is
personal
fair.
experience,
I
and
can't, personal experience. You cannot get rid of your personal experience when you come to a movie, nor should you. So that's
well,
going to color
that's
everyone. It's fair.
I don't know, that goes back to the movie argument. It's like
Oh yeah, I mean that is a much deeper argument, but
you got
that
it.
is
Like,
fair. That
no,
is a much deeper argument.
if you can't disconnect yourself, it's like what we yeah, it just wraps up too tightly narratively. That's just it.
I mean, it's also fun here for to be in the position of saying, "Nah, I think that works for me," because usually I'm the one saying, "Hey, that narrative wrapped up too neatly. I don't buy it." And so it's fascinating for me to be on the other side of that, where I
Well,
feel like the narrative wrap up works. I'm
well,
usually the one complaining, "Oh, that shouldn't have a happy ending."
well, hail to those who have less medications listed in their stories. So, all right. Well, I mean, this is a fun conversation. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time, just taking the time to have it.
Yeah, it was fun chatting with you.
Yeah. So,
Glad you took the time to watch it and didn't hate it. Glad you got something out of
oh
it, even if
no,
it
I
even
yeah,
even yeah. But glad you got stuff out of it, even though it wasn't as much as me. That's fine. You got something out of it. That's all I can
right.
ask for.
No, yeah. It's not a hateable movie, which
Yeah.
I don't know. When I say that though, it's kind of one of those frustrations.
I would say I also don't blame people who hate this movie,
Well,
but
no,
I
no.
disagree
I
with
would
them.
have
That's
like.
all.
Well, no, it just feels more fulfilling to hate something. Dare I say? Like
That's fair.
I watched like somebody just kept no, you got to give Twilight. Yes, it's a train wreck, but give it a to watch. And I watched the first Twilight, and it's like I can't say it didn't do what it was supposed to do. I'm gonna have to give it 2.5 stars, and I hate that I have to give it 2.5 stars. But
I I mean, I would always rather like something than not, and always like to try to pull out the good, even if there's
well,
more
no, as
bad.
I say,
So
I hated Twilight, but I know
yeah,
what it was trying to do,
yeah,
and I can't fault it.
that's what I've heard from people. I do need to watch that movie at some
Oh
point,
no
just for
no
that,
no no
just the
no
first one.
no no no
I'll,
no no
yeah.
no don't. I mean, granted, I'm a baseball fan and a Muse fan, and love vampire stuff. And once you mix all that together
Hmm.
and not deliver, I am going to be forever angry. So yeah. So all right. So let's see. Austin. So what do you want to plug, promote? What do you got?
Sure. So as I mentioned at the top, I got a, movie review blog where I do spoiler-free reviews of new releases. That is over on Substack. It's called "Take 'Em to the Movies, Austin." It's a bit of a clunky name, but it's what I went with. And yeah, that's basically it. Try to post over there as much as I can.
All
Going to
right.
be going to the New Hampshire Film Festival this weekend,
All
so
right.
I'll have
Awesome.
I have a big post on that at some point next week. Wrap up of all the stuff I see.
Well, no, very cool. Glad that you get at least a film festival. I mean, we get Ebert Fest in Champaign Urbana because Roger Ebert was a
Right.
graduate of the U of I.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't get the chance to go to last year's. And I only went to see Ghost World in the previous year. So
Mm.
um nope. So if you want to be on the podcast, you can send an email to russthebus07@gmail.com. That's RUSSTHEBUS07@gmail.com. Offer me a theme, director, actor, movie. Try to focus on anything sub 100 minutes, over 70 minutes. And I will work with you. If you got something else, if you're willing to do a little more work, I can make that happen. So anything will work. It's just your dedication. You can follow me on Twitter. The username there is @CatBusRuss. But Mastodon is the place to be, folks, as Austin would tell you. My
Yeah, I
username.
forgot. I should post that.
Yeah, well,
Plug that too. I'll let you finish and then.
all right. My username there is @RussStevens @mastodon.social. You can always share your posts there onto Twitter until Elon is a complete and total dick. So yeah, and yeah, all I got to do is admire my little cat just grooming herself.
Yeah.
Ava, the queen kitty, but thank you to Stacia Harden, who's keeping an eye on me as far as I can tell. And I hope she's doing the same to everybody else she touched in her life. And I hope that the fluffy little Skimble Shanks, the one-eared angel's not annoying her too much. He tends to talk too much. Don't miss that. No, he at least try to make conversation. So, all right. Dead cats, dead best friends, and back to Austin.
Yeah, the Mastodon. I always need to plug that. But it's Aussie at mastodon.world. That's Aussie spelled AUZZY. Do you get it? It's a mix of Aussie and my name, Austin. But at mastodon.world. So you can follow me over there too, where I also mostly talk about movies.
Yeah, I was just worried when I was making this, getting this podcast ready. It's like I see Aussie, and it's like, well, most Australians say it OZZY, so I shouldn't worry about time frames.
That was not something I ever thought about with this nickname, and then a couple people have mentioned it since, and it's like, I guess that does kind of make sense, huh? But no, it's just a random thing that a buddy of mine started calling me back in middle school. I'm like, that's a good username. Why not?
Right.
But
right. No,
everyone thinks I live on the other side of the world, which is funny.
Right. Well, no, and as I said, I've got enough experience in this world to know that most Aussies say OZZY.
Yep.
AUSSIE. So, all right. Well, thank you very much for coming on and talking about. We're going. Sorry, it's such a long title that didn't help it. We're all going to the World's Fair, which, hey, we obviously got two different opinions upon it, but it's definitely a movie worth talking about. So, I would definitely suggest, hey, you got that's the entire point of the podcast. I know you got 90 minutes, people. Don't, you can skip out on your, I guess, well, I mean, Generation V on Amazon Prime only drops an episode a week, so you got the time. So, for 90 for Chill, thank you again, and love to have you back on.
Sure.
It's one of those, like, can we get on the same page? But it's like, it's great to have an antagonist.
Makes for good conversation, that's for sure.
That is for sure.
We're not all just going yes to each other.
Right. Thank you again, Austin, and have yourself a good week. Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I hear a wahoo?